Good. Dear Irmtraud Fischer, I greet you very, very warmly and thank you so much for being a guest in Feminism and Religion Fair School. At the very beginning, my job is, and I would like to introduce you briefly, although it will be very, very difficult for me to introduce it briefly, considering all your achievements, all your publications, and all your life work. But I will try to give to the participants of the fair school short introduction into your personality and your work achievements. Irmtraud Fischer is working as a professor at the Institute for Classics at the University of Graz since October 2022. Before that position, she was a professor of Old Testament studies from 2004 to 2022. She was also Vice Chancellor for Research and Continuing Education at the University Graz from 2007 to 2011. In 2017, Professor Irmtraud Fischer was honored with the title DR at the University of Gießen in Germany. She has been a visiting professor in Marburg, in Vienna, in Bamberg, in Jerusalem and Rome. And she's the holder of the Gabriele Posana Award from 2022 for lifetime achievement, and this is very interesting, in the field of gender research of the Federal Ministry of Education, Science and Research in Austria, as well as many other awards and recognition. She is the first woman in Austria to obtain a habilitation in 1993. She is also the chief editor of the international multilingual project, The Bible and Woman. And to this project, we will come later back with one question. So at the very beginning, dear Irmtraud, welcome once again. It's nice to see you and it's nice to hear you.
Thank you, dear Tanya, and greetings to all that will hear this podcast.
And we can start with the first question. I would like to start with your contribution to feminist research and feminist approach to the Bible. And I would like to tell that your feminist research in the Bible has enormous global importance. So we're not speaking just about the German area. You and your research have influenced, and it influenced me at the theology in Sarajevo. It's influencing people and theologians in all Southeastern Europe, in Europe widely. But I would with confidence tell you're influencing theologians globally. So would like to start just as one example. For example, you're saying Erzählten Erzählungen. On the Croatian language, we would tell praroditeljske pripovijesti. This is a saying that you created and even made it into the official Catholic translation of the Bible. So I would be now interested to hear for the participants of this school, if you can tell us something more about the contribution of feminist theology to the biblical research, and which insight have you come like in the relation to, if I may say, traditional exegesis? What is feminist theology? Which new insight you can share with the participants in the relation of the, if I may say, traditional exegesis? Like this would be a first question to open your expertise.
Thank you. Let's stay at this Erzelternerzählungen.
Mhm.
This was my habilitation, and it grows out of a lecture series I held, and it was for me. It was as really as to put another looking glasses of on this, because I got aware that almost every second text in Genesis 12 up to 36 uh, is a text where women are or the leading figures of these narratives, or they are dealing with women. So, and if we we look have a look at our churches, what is picked up in the lectures on Sunday lectures, it's always every second text, and every second text of women is let out, wasn't read. So it is not important if God deals with women. It's only important if God deals with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob, and all the others. Yes, it's marginal. And when I had a look on these texts, I worked strictly historical critical, as it in this time it was also the it was you to get a habilitation you have to do this in this times in those times, and also the historical critical method was developed in Protestant area, because the Catholic Church abandoned or abolished this just at the beginnings. And after the Vaticanum II, the Great Council, it was opened to this also. So for me, I am the second generation that was allowed. My teacher, Johannes Marbeck, for example, was not allowed in his studies to do this. So let's say I'm the first generation where it was completely free to do this. And also working in this area also was comparative studies in law, which is also in the old Orient, in the ancient Orient, is a really important thing. So it was state of the art in this time. And then I added the feminist look on this, so that it is these are not the patriarch's narratives or the father's narratives, the patriarch's narratives. It's normally in English. We are also the Vätererzählungen or Erzvätererzählungen. Only men are visible. And only men are visible. This will this will mean afterwards that also only these texts are important. So when I did my habilitation and when I finished it, it was a feminist work on a very classical text complex, and it was afterwards published in the really high estimated series of Beihefte zur Zeitschrift der alttestamentlichen Wissenschaft. And when Otto Kaiser, a very famous Protestant professor at these times, he was just a professor emeritus when I came to Marburg to help my professorship there for a half of a year or for a semester. He said, if this is feminist theology, we need it. So this old man, a very conservative man also, was open that we haven't seen this. We haven't seen this. So it's if this is for him, this wasn't ideology, because I worked in feminist in a critical way, and also was this comparative law and all these things. So I think this was a beginning of my work. Really, I wanted to do this. Only ideology, or also what is the experience of women, only this, for me, it was not possible to do feminist research. This also an important thing, but we have to do this with the tools, the classical tools. And if we will not do this, we will never be accepted. So the Protestant part of the research, I was really invited in almost every faculty when I was at Bonn University, and I held the Cathedra of Old Testament and Women Research. But the Catholic area is another thing. Now, 30 years later, when I look back, I think we as generation, as first generation who entered in the universities, in the faculties of theology as professors, there was a chance, a chance still that it may change. But the church was afraid of us. And the church said, this is not, we do not need this. So I think perhaps there would have been a chance at this time to held women, more women in church, as we now see that they are leaving the church because they do not feel accepted. So it's too late now. It's too late now. But in those times, perhaps it would have been a possibility. I don't know if it would be also, but uh, this change. But till now, uh, let's remember what said the Pope. We need a new theology of women. The the libraries are full of the new theology of women, but they don't read it. They do not read it. This is till now not accepted. Also, in the universities, it's clear, no, that we have done a lot of historical research. We have done a lot of narrative research and all these things. So in the universities, we are accepted, especially at the universities, not only in the faculties. So, but in a much more broader range of research, and not only in theology or in theological educations institutions.
Mhm.
So I think that after 20 years, this term Erzelternerzählungen, so it not every not still now anymore patriarch's narrative, um, that it was now it's the normal title of these chapters in the Genesis. I think this is just a success, but yes, it is not in practice really down. And but if you have done with your habilitation to change really a terminology, it's just a little bit.
Mhm.
Let's say it.
Thank you so much. I would stay a bit more with this, with the question of feminist exegesis and this gender just
Hmm.
exegesis. How would you define this feminist exegesis?
Mhm. One of my books, this is more than a collected essays. This is Gender Fair Exegesis. Um, I never agreed with the, the part of feminist theology who held gender as an essential category. I more than with the liberation, with the emancipation movement, that men and women have the same rights, and those are not the rights of men. But we have to change the rights for human. These are human rights. So if women have to have special rights, because they are mothers and all these things. Um, uh, it has to be a human right and not only a right of a woman. So
Yes.
that we have also to change the whole category of man rights that was called human rights. No, it is you has also have to have inside all the rights of all mankind, of human persons.
Mhm.
So to be fair with all this, and I'm not interested in a feminist movement that really does not really exist, but it is always accused that we are accused of that the feminists are really angry women, sempre against all men and all this thing. That's not the case. That's not the case. This is only um, um, prejudice or such things, and it's a word of a struggle against women movement. So I called my exegesis gender fair because um, not everything is in the Bible so clear and also so nice for women, no? But we have to be aware of both gender or of all genders. Today we are looking on all genders. Um, that we have just narratives about this. How is the role conceived? This is in some cases, especially on the background of the legal situation of the ancient Orient. It's in the ancient Near East. It's a completely other situation that we have now. So we have to be aware on all these categories of gender and not only see one gender or one sex. So this is my gender fair exegesis also on these things.
Amazing. You already showed one of your books, Gender Fair Exegesis. Which books, which your publications you would recommend for the participants of this fair school, and which topics you've been dealing in these books? If you can give us a bit of insights for the participants.
I think the most
Your
read books.
the biggest publications in life, yeah.
The most read books are my trilogy,
Mhm.
and on this, it is the Gottesstreiterinnen. This is the um, not only but also the um, the divulgation of my habilitation. So it is written. It was that you may read it if you are interested in, and if you have not studied all the languages you need if you do exegesis. So this was the first book, Gottes Streiterinnen, Woman Who Wrestled with God. It is translated in three languages, and the whole trilogy. Then Gottes Künderinnen. This is the first books on prophetess. Worldwide, it never have been a book on the whole phenomenon on female prophecy in the Bible. This was out in 2002. Gottes Künderinnen, and the third is Gottes Lehrerinnen. So it's on wise women and wisdom, lady wisdom. So on this whole category of wisdom and women and wisdom. So it's a trilogy, and I think this is the most read. These are the most read publications. Um, I think that the Gottes Streiterinnen, the first book, Women Who Wrestled with God. This is not only a feminist program, but it is the translation of Israelite, female Israelites, because Israel means that wrestling with God, no? And therefore it's a program of wrestling with also with the tradition, who is narrating only on men, and the other thing it's a classical biblical title. So. Um, yes.
Thank you so much. In the introduction, it's your lit publication list is huge, is amazing. So thank you for giving at least few insights for which would be the most important, what is the most read, and it is important that you said that this Gottes Kunderinnen, it
Mhm.
was the first in the world on the topic of female prophecy.
Mhm.
So it's a huge achievement of this book. And in the introduction, we mentioned this amazing, huge project, Bible and Woman.
Mhm.
Like, if you can tell what is the project about, what is the main aim of the project, the biggest achievements of this project, and maybe some future plans for this project and how it is now structured.
Mhm. Bible and Women has also a homepage. Perhaps you may insert afterwards in the podcast. Bible and Women org. It's an org address. And it was projected when I was leaving the position of the president of the European Society of Theological Research on Women and gave it to Adriana Valerio, an Italian historian. And we thought of a project where most members of our society would have the possibility to participate. The other thing is that I'm married with an Italian and therefore a little bit also familiar with the Roman-speaking languages. And I noted that everybody reads the English-speaking publications, especially the Americans. The Americans do not read anything of other language. Not everybody, but we have really
Mhm.
experiences that they do read only American publication, and we noted that the northern belt and the southern belt do not have contact. So the European Society of Theological Research on Women had an eastern section, but they do not have a southern section when I was president. So, making president Adriana Valeria, she in one period she had so many theologians from not only from Italian but Italy, but also from Spain inside. So that we are now projected this a Bible and Women project. This is a reception history project based on Bible. We have five volumes on Bible. There are three at the like the Jewish canon has three parts, and two of New Testament, the Gospels and also the letters. These five volumes on Bible, how they were read during the whole history up to the 21st century. This was also not only because there was the possibility to make a huge project with almost all aspects of theology. We do not have only exegetes there inside. As medieval, if you are researching medieval, you have to have philosophers and you have to have also art historians or music historians in the Baroque, all such things. No, you have to be much larger on this. And I noted just when I wrote my first commentary on Ruth that it is not only the biblical text which is important. It's in some on some texts much more important how it was read during the history of this book. So the reception of these texts are much more influencing nowadays practical theology or the praxis of the churches. those who are the believers than the real Bible text. This is especially the case on the first three chapters of the Bible, the creation history. That's one of the most influencing texts, and I think it's not only a text, but it was during the history it was a cultural code. So especially for gender roles also.
Mhm.
So this changing uh, how was read a text in those period, how it changed. So to give an idea that this what is now declared as only possibility to read this text was never ever happened. So it that this was not so. So in almost all cases, it's the 19th century of this. It was always the tradition. No, it was not. It was not always the tradition. It changed so much, and um, when I began to work on this on or in the on reception history, I remember when I got aware that what did the Vulgata, Hieronymus, was Genesis 3:16. So this is the so-called punishment against the women. And he left out the the desire of women against her husband. This was not this was not doesn't was not able to do in this time. It doesn't fit in his mindset that a woman is desiring a man. So he left it out, but he made um, a parallelism, a synonym parallelism. He will dominate you, is in the Bible text, and he made it that the woman is under the potestas of man, and the potestas is a law term, no? That means women do not have right by her own, but she have only man has the right to to fulfill or to also to fight for the law of the women, not she.
Mhm.
So when I got aware on this, this is only one example. We have a lot of example of this. When I got aware that it changed so much, at first I was very angry, no? So that what did they? It's incredible. But now I'm really thinking in another thing. What did they in those time we have to do now in our times? So they are really Vorbilder. They are models, examples of exegesis who had power to change also these things if for their time, because a canonical text, as the Bible is always a text which is everlasting of significance for the believers. So the believers have other cultures, other languages, other historical background, other law background, and such things. And you have to inculturate, to actualize those texts for new audience. And they did it. And we have to do this also today.
You faced many challenges, if I may say. So, based on what you're telling, you faced on many levels many challenges. You also said church was afraid of your research, of feminist theologians' research. I'm interested, what was your motivation to continue to stay as a feminist theologian, exegation? Like, what was your motivation to continue with this work?
Mhm. It was just clear at the beginnings, after 10 years working hard, it was clear that also this everlasting, almost everlasting pontificate of John Paul II, no? This was really, uh, there was no movement against women, anything. and afterwards electing Ratzinger as the mindset behind the former pope, it was also clear never it wouldn't change anything. And also this pope, but this is another story because later on does this also he doesn't have really a mind or he doesn't understand what is going on with gender categories. He is at the right wing ideology of genderism, and women are have the same dignity, but never ever the same rights. So yes, it doesn't change. It doesn't change also, and I think it's for Europe as for democratic systems. It's too late now. This is really, you may say that this is a little bit depressive insight, but I see that women are leaving the church and say, I do not anymore support a church who is violating my rights and not accepting my rights. So yes, it's clear. But uh, at the beginning, we thought that it will change something. When we installed this, or when we began this a huge project of 21 volumes in 4 languages, so at least there will be 84 volumes of this Bible and Women project, because in the 4 languages it's German, it's English, it's Spanish, and it's Italian. So when we began this, I said it is clear what was the situation also for women, because a lot of research was just done in the Bible. Also, this is not accepted till now. If it's only difficult to decide if there were a diaconate of women and also such things, yes, you have to read research, and it's easy to read research. It's really accessible. It's not more anymore gray literature as it was in the 80s or such things. So. The situation, the historical situation in the Bible was clear, but it was always the argument, but the tradition. The tradition doesn't allow, the tradition was always the same. The tradition, the tradition, the tradition. The tradition is the 19th century, not the tradition. During this reception history, we have shown that in every epoch, women were against this misogynic theology. There were also always men who contradicted such theology. So it was never ever accepted that this official tradition, as they declare it, that this was always the same, it was never ever the same. It changed, and it changed with the cultures you are dealing with, and such things. So we also said that with this project, also the first in the world, a project which is dealing with the whole reception of the Bible with a gender research focus, especially on women. So we said that we will pick up the carpet where they are standing on. The tradition was not always the tradition. It changed. It has changed. So it patriarchy was never unchanged, never accepted by all, and it was always in question.
Mhm. I would go back to feminist theology and the potential, if I may say, a positive potential of feminist theology in to not only for theological research, but do you see also the potential of this feminist theological thought also for the society in general? Like, do you see that potential? How would you define that role? And what can feminist theology and this feminist theological research contribute? Not just to theological research, not just to theological faculties, but also on the image of gender roles in the society. Like, how do you do? Is there also what you said, the positive example of this one professor when he said, if this is feminist theology, we need it.
Mm.
So how would you, do you see this, and how would you define this positive potential of the feminist thought and feminist theology?
Mm. Um, I think it is therefore such of importance because uh, especially concept of anthropology in Western societies are based on biblical concepts. So not for nothing, we have in this the 19th century. This is the women's movement. We have two volumes in the 19th century: the religious movements and the women's movement. But not for nothing, we have an article of more than 80 pages that introduces this volume, where the situation, the legal situation of women in the whole world is dealt with. If you do not know that women do not have had any rights in these times, or which rights, and they lose it when they married, for example, such things. If you do not know this legal background, where the women's movement, the new women's movement, was based on, you do not know what is why it's so, it's that only women are struggling. No, on the base of these legal backgrounds. And there it was really the backslash of the Illumination, where just Olympe de Gouges declared the women's rights and not only the rights of men of the third level of so it's not only all men have the same rights, but also women have the same rights. So it was a backslash in the 19th century, also in legal codices, that we have to know this. This is the background of this great women movements, that the Declaration of Human Rights, which was first in America, but also in the French Revolution and in the Illumination movement. This was always only men in the focus. So just there began this movement against this backslash that only men are the subjects of law, but also women are the subjects and not even only the objects of law. So I think especially the background of law and the background of anthropology is based on biblical concepts. And therefore, it's really important also for secular feminists to be aware of this. If you are dealing with historical periods, but not only historical periods. I think in your country, for which we make this podcast, it's still going on this.
Mhm. Yes. Thank you so much for this. And looking at the time, we are quite in the end of our time that we have. But I do have still one question. It would be important, and you are one role model for us. You are a pioneer. You fought with your work and with your life achievements. You struggled for a fundament and the basis what we have now, what the younger generations of theologians, and not just theologians, what we have now, as if I may say, granted. And my question then would be in this, like to close it, yeah, what would be, it is very also typical question, what would you say for the younger generations and also for the participants of the Feminism and Religion School? What do you wish for them? What would you say for them? And if there is anything else that you would like to share from your experience, this would be the question about.
I think anthropology is one of the important things. So my last book I would like to show also this is on sexuality, because sexuality till now is one of the crucial aspects of all these movements, and also on legal basic on it's always the if you are now thinking on all the femicides, they are always women are murdered by their partners. So it's always the sexual aspect, no? It's on this, and I think it's really necessary to read these texts not as we want it, but to have a look on text, what is possible from the Hebrew texts to also to understand, not the only one. I'm not do not doing not the same what they doing, but they say it's only one tradition and only one sense. No, what we may also respecting the Hebrew text, what we may also have a sense in this text, and that is a lot of things. So therefore I wrote this as my last book, and when I was active in as a professor of Old Testament exegesis. But what is really for me really strange, we yesterday had elections in Syria, and we see that young people are voting right parties, also right, especially sometimes right extreme persons also. So for me, it's really, I do not understand a world anymore. So if the young people do not go ahead, but the young people go back to what we had just really bad experiences. So for me, it's really a thing also in theology. Um, those who are open-minded do not study anymore theology. And we have uh, those we would have to have really that would be very important, that open-minded students are studying, not only those who are living in the 19th century or with those concept of the 19th century. So we are living nowadays, and we have to do theology for nowadays. So this group for which the podcast is made is another category, because they are aware that this is important, and they are doing a great work, a really great work. I was at the last conference, also an anniversary conference, and I am really glad that to see so many women struggling for equality also in theology. So do it again, and do it always again.
Dear Imtraud, it was again such a pleasure to hear you, to talk with you, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for sharing your experience, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your motivation, for sharing your lifetime achievements. Thank you so much once more for participating, for being an amazing, wonderful guest in this podcast for the Feminism and Religion School, Fair School. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanya, for interviewing me.
And I wish
And
all
all
the
the
best
best.
for the participants of the school in the finishing, in the gaining new knowledges and wisdom. And with that, I think we can close our podcast and stop recording.